Wolverine 59 of Gamers X here. So, that 90's show just got canceled, and okay, I remember that 70's show. It was the best show ever. I still, like, me and my boys, we always talk about the episode where they end up in Canada, and and they get detained by the local authorities, and the whole scene, when you watch the questioning of it, it's funny, it's hilarious. I love it. we the prank day episode. The prank day episode is also what we always talked about. Like the whole fact that Kelso's basically Bugs Bunny, and everybody else is the, you know, basically basically like anybody who tries to get one up on Bugs, and Bugs like, yeah, no, I'm one upping you. So we always talked about it. So when they announced that they're doing that 90's show and putting it on Netflix, it was something. And I always like how the first season got, and it's still, it's confusing when they do the two-parter on that. Like, well, part one and part two is like, okay, is this a season, or are you just doing two different? I don't. I still am trying to catch up with that 90's show. I think sometime last month I was watching the season 1 finale. Then I was finally catching up to the first part of season 2, and don't get me wrong, like, the whole idea is that Red and Kitty are in the midst of it. I'm like thinking, as much as I like that Red and Kitty are part of it, and the fact that Red isn't as grumpy about it as he needs to be, like, when you watch that 70's show, like he even, there's an episode where he hates how much that the gang hang out at the in the basement, like Eric, Kelso, Donna, Jackie, the rest of them. The fact that they're always hanging out there is like, he hates it. In fact, in that 90's show, he's like saying to Kitty, we just got out of this, now you're bringing us back into it. And I remember reading an article, like, for Red and Kitty to show Leia how to drive, that should be Eric and Donna, like, passing the baton, if anything. And it's true, it's like, when it's the episode where Red gives Leia the Vista Cruiser, that should be Eric giving Leia the Vista Cruiser. Like, that's where I'm in agreement of there, but it does have the humor that we have with that 70's show, like the car that runs on water, the what was it, the Donkey Kong conspiracy. I mean, it doesn't exactly hit the same, it doesn't land the same way as the as the car that runs on water, which we always, I remember in high school, we always quote the car that runs on water. But as, like, what bugs me though is like, okay, because you cement the characters, like, you know Kelso, you know Eric Foreman, you know Lori, you know Leo, you know Pastor Dave, which I like that they did the Pastor Dave reference. Yeah. So, anywho, um, there's a scene Kitty talks to Pastor Dave, but you don't see Pastor Dave. Anywho, the episode, the not the episode, sorry, more okay. The show, like, it's hard. I don't. It's kind of hard to cement. I mean, okay, Jay Kelso is Kelso's and Jackie's son, and I'm grateful that they reference Betsy, because normally what we've seen half the time with these sitcoms that they don't address, like, half of the stuff. Like, if yeah, let's say if Married with Children, let's say that that ended up with the reboot, they would not reference Seven at all. They wouldn't. They just wouldn't. If Happy Days had a reboot, they would not reference what didn't stick the landing, you know. But with that TV show, they reference Betsy, because I know I watched on YouTube. I'm like, no way, they're referencing Betsy Kelso here. That's good, because if it's like all of a sudden, like, yeah, whatever happened to Betsy Kelso? Oh, she doesn't exist anymore. She's not canon. Okay, like, that's weird. But with this, like, they reference her, and it's like, okay, Betsy exists in this world of that TV show, that 90's show, and plus me being born in the 90's and remembering the 90's, it helped. Like, the blockbuster thing, the whole thing with like referencing Clerks and a whole lot, like, maybe not a whole lot, but yeah, like you do with that TV show, it referenced, you know, Alice Cooper, was another Alice Cooper, Kiss, and all that. Like, I don't remember most of the 90's bands because I wasn't actively listening to the radio as much. It was you know, if you think of any Jim Carrey movie with the songs from the 60's and 70's, that's what I was listening to. So I didn't know about any of the 90's rock bands that time, because what I was listening to was mainly R&B, the old style R&B, the classic rock of the time. But I did like that they reference Clerks, because because well, I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith's movies. I am, but I kind of wish they reference like like Power Rangers, you know, or at least like something like. And I know they wouldn't have watched it, but still, like something that us in the 90's knew about, like in that TV show you see they reference Spider-Man, uh, yeah, the Spider-Man, Batman, and so many other stuff. I mean, they reference Star Wars, and and I love that Eric is a professor of Star Star Wars classes. Like I was signed up for that. I wouldn't have cared about like, wait, there's oh cool Star Wars class. I'm signing up for that. And the fact that Eric and Dawn are still together. They reference what happened between Jackie and Fez. And I know there's some that they were iffy about referencing because of controversy. That I could kind of understand, but at the same time, sometimes you have to, like, just get all out. Like, yeah, we get it. Like, we're always gonna have to reference something in order to get out of the way, even if it's gonna upset people, plain and simple. But I can't say it because, yeah. But at the same time, you know, it's like they got reference that they reference when the internet hit, how that came about. And it made me think of my old Windows 95 computer I had growing up. And I noticed when they're in the when they're in the convenience store, I saw, I'm like, okay, they didn't have the Dorito bags. I'm like, they didn't show the retro Doritos bags. I'm like, no, we didn't have that back then. And the Coca-Colas were not exactly, you know, the same. No. But I kept my eye on how the fashion was, and yeah, flannel back then was a big deal. And again, like, I love the fact that they showed Blockbuster. I'm like, but what about Hollywood Video? What about, like, they could reference any of the 90's board games that we had growing up. They could easily reference. I know they referenced Jean-Claude Van Damme. They did. They referenced mostly almost everything. And the fact that they brought Mitch back. And the thing is, I know most of the cast were like, yeah, we don't want to come back to our roles. But they should, like, Eric should have been the mainstay. Like, him and Donna should have been the mainstay of the show. That way we could have seen how their parental choices are. Like I can't say because I don't want to get my channel taken down, but when you watch the first episode of what Eric says to Leia is exactly what Red would say, and that came full circle at that moment. But I love what Red says. He's like, I've never been more proud, Because normally he does not give. I mean, he does kind of give Eric accolades here and there, but not all the time. In fact, my favorite episode, one of my favorite moments of that TV show is when Eric and Red are having that heart-to-heart, and Red's like asking him, "Tell me what you think of me," and Eric's like, "No, no, Dad, I'm not." He's like, "No, no, no, tell me, tell me," and he tells him how I'm going. That's got my tell for him trying to dig a little bit when Eric Eric says like, "Yeah, you life didn't go so well for you, so you're kind of tough on me, so that way I could be tough at the world," and that does sum up Red in that retrospect. Like, Red's not the emotional person, but at least they had that nice father-son moment. And the funny thing is, you see Red in this, he's gentler to Leia. He, like, when Leia is at the emotional crisis where she doesn't know what to do, she's trying to figure everything out. Red says that's life in general. We're always trying to figure it out. But even as an adult, you kind of have to make up as you go along. And that should be universal truth, is the fact that even when you're an adult, even when you still are trying to figure everything out, you're still trying to make it as you go along. So, anyway, I just wanted to talk about it. It sucks. I want to see season 3. I want to see Eric and Donna back at Point Place. I want to see a real reunion, but guess we're not going to get that. So be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notify bell for all notifications. Wolverine 59-1 of Gamers X sign out. Live large or card. Have a good one.